Amazing.
Hey, hi everyone. Hello and welcome. Avanti, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
You too.
My catchphrase, well, I mean, is namaste.
Absolutely.
So.
So you're going to definitely, I'm sure there are so many people from Avan Tribe here watching this event, and I'm so glad that you volunteered to be part of this third in a series of Get College Ready Fair. And the
Wow.
theme is pretty much to set the tone for the new year for rising high school seniors who are looking at college prep and also figuring out opportunities to build their profile and navigate the whole admissions process this year. We also have college
100%.
admissions officers at their tables. So everyone listening in, make sure that after the session, hop onto the lounge section and meet with a fantastic lineup of college admissions officers who will be here to meet you one-on-one in small group settings. So it's very informal. Switch on your video, meet them, and I'm sure these connections would last you kind of an interesting or give you interesting opportunities up ahead. And there are also many organizations from people who help you identify your interests in maybe coding, to even prep for ACT, SAT, and many other opportunities, including entrepreneurial thought leadership sort of programs and such that. So thanks for being a keynote, Avanti. I know it's a very different format and a different avenue for you to be on, other than YouTube and Instagram. You don't need any introductions, but I'm going to very quickly summarize. Um, Avanti is a musician, singer, social impact entrepreneur, if I may, actor, a VR music, whatever launch person who did that first video on a VR platform. So this is pretty amazing innovation. Even as a creative, you've just kept going and pushing the bar. But last but not the least, I think the whole social impact idea and being sort of so focused on a cause that you wish to support. So your journey and your life would be something we discover. Tying back to the theme, Avanti, tell us like when you were thinking of applying to colleges and as a high school student, what was going in your mind and how did you sort of navigate the journey back then?
I mean, that's a great question. Also, thanks so much for the very kind introduction. And the opportunity y'all are providing for everybody here is amazing. I remember when I was in high school, sometimes at our school or in our city, I'm in Bombay, we would have, these kinds of fairs. They would, of course, be in person at that time, but meeting college admissions officers one-on-one or people, it really makes a difference. So definitely, please go and take advantage of that after the session. For me, when I was in high school, one of the biggest things I think was it felt very daunting, if I'm being honest, the college process, because it's not easy, right? There's so many parts to it. So one thing that really helped me was just researching about the process and understanding all the components earlier on. I didn't wait until 2-3 months before applying to understand the process. It was important for me to kind of start that a little bit earlier, a few months before, a year before, to understand what all the components were. And I was very clear that what I cared about in high school, it actually is what I care about today. I did a lot of stuff, in music, in social impact, in health, and that's continuing to be because I didn't want college just to be this one final destination. I wanted it to be a stepping stone to life, and a place where I could explore my passions, my interests, and so what I was talking about and how I was sharing my personal story was truly a way of I want to come to this place to learn and to grow and to, to expand that beyond. That's, I think, where my head was at. I was definitely stressed, if I'm being very honest with you. It is a stressful process, but it's nice to have people to help you navigate through that. And and I think it teaches you a lot about yourself, because when you have to be so personal, write these essays and think about what have I done? I'm only 16, 18, in that short period of life. It teaches you a lot and teaches you how to focus and bring things together. And every single person has a story to tell, is what I found. And it's just about figuring out how to tell yours most authentically.
That's fantastic. Another interesting element of your journey, which we spoke about over a phone call, was fact that you took your time and then even chose to defer and take a gap year. And that's something which in the Indian context, or even in South Asia or in Asia, is not a very normal thing for high school kids to do. How was that decision and how did it actually pan out for you?
It was very interesting. So I took a gap year after gotten in. I got in early, this when you apply in November. So I received my offer in December, and I decided to defer. And it wasn't an easy choice. This was back in 2015, and as you imagine, there weren't a lot of people who were doing that. My reasoning was threefold. One, I did a lot of music stuff even at that point, right? And it had always been a passion, but I never had the opportunity to pursue it just fully. And I wanted 1 year to really immerse myself in it and see, and I felt like that time would never come back where I was responsibility free. The second was I had been offered this role in a theater production. It was called Agnes of God, and it was going to happen all through the next year. I figured, hey, why not? College will always be there. Why not do it? And it turned out to be one of the best experiences of my life. We, in fact, almost got arrested. It was this whole thing. And I learned a lot about the power of the arts. I was also doing some research in the global health space during that year. Very interested in that. And I'd reached out to a Harvard professor after I got in who was going to be in India. So it was nice, to have kind of that touch point still with the college. But the third reason, and if I'm being, brutally honest, I felt like I was burnt out after high school. It can get a lot, and it can get very competitive, and I just felt like I needed a break from institutions, and to explore my passions and to explore myself. Don't get me wrong, I was extremely busy during the gap year, but it was a different kind of busy where I set my tone. I didn't have a school or a college telling me I had this assignment due, this time, this deadline. So it was really a growing experience. And when I went to college, out of our class of 1,600, I would say about 150 students had taken gap years. And I just noticed they were so much more mature, so much more even ready for college, because we'd had that break, right, between from academics and from that pressure, and just had a different perspective to life. So it was when people do different things. Some people travel, some people work, some people spend time with, a grandparent, some people create a startup, run an initiative, do something artistic. So it gives you that opportunity. And I think more and more people are open to that, where you can take it before college, you can even take time off in college. There's a lot of options today.
What's wonderful about this journey is the fact that you used resources and you sort of figured out a plan and even found interesting mentors and sort of made the connection with Harvard while you were pursuing your gap year. So then finally you ended up being at Mass Boston and all of that. How was it like settling in? Did you imagine a life in college to be very different while you were in high school? And how did it actually work out for you? And also the fact that you chose to do a dual degree at Berklee College of Music, which is also in Boston, and not the UC Berkeley.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people think, how was she flying across the country? No. It was also in Boston. So my first year was purely at Harvard. And I think, what you see on TV and in the movies and everything, this whole magic, it exists. But when you actually college, you'll realize everyone's fairly normal. Everyone is human. You're just there doing your thing and exploring and enjoying. I think my favorite part about going to college was truly just meeting people from such different walks of life. And of course, when you go to schools abroad, sometimes you are able to meet people from different countries and different backgrounds. But regardless of where you go to college, people will have different experiences from you. They would have grown up in different socioeconomic backgrounds, different, maybe religion, cultural beliefs, whatever it might be. And being exposed to that and those different perspectives was really, really meaningful to me. And I really enjoyed it and appreciated it. I think, living-wise, dorms are dorms. They will be shared spaces sometimes. You will have individual spaces. You might have a whole bathroom. You will learn a lot about living independently and figuring out that system. And, adjusting to food preferences. I know a lot of people are concerned sometimes if they have specific food. So I'm vegetarian, for example, and a lot of people get concerned, if I go abroad, will I have vegetarian options, things like that. I think it's becoming more and more available, especially as a lot of the world is going vegan. Though there's definitely options depending on what your interest is and how you can support that. But yeah, Boston, I really, really enjoyed Boston as a city because in fact, I was born there, not exactly in Boston, but in a small town in Massachusetts. And then I moved to Bombay when I was 8 or 9. But going back as a college student was very different because you're in the city, and Boston has so many colleges and universities. So it's very young, student friendly, very walkable. A lot of towns and college areas in New England are all like that, which I really enjoyed. It's also close enough to New York. I was going to New York quite often to perform. And then the program with Berklee started during my sophomore year. It was the first time it happened. It was a dual degree where you get a bachelor's degree at Harvard and you either get a master's diploma at Berklee. And for those of you watching, there are more and more programs like this, such as Columbia and Juilliard have a dual degree. Brown and the Rhode Island School of Design have a dual degree where you can study anything at Brown in the liberal arts and get a more art-based education. There is Tufts and the New England Conservatory, and there's more of these options. A lot of colleges allow you to double major as well. And I really, really enjoyed that experience because it allowed me to see two very different institutions and learn so much from it. Because I was already performing professionally, musically, I was able to kind of work on my craft so much at Berklee while doing this, as well as at Harvard, learn from such amazing people. And it was a lot of hard work though, because I was constantly back and forth between the colleges and was always on the bus. But other than that, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the other side of the story is always interesting. Settling in and the hard work is obviously sort of figuring out how to settle in, and doing the hard work is obviously a way to navigate uncertainty. But if you were to sort of convey to an audience as to how one can deal with disruptions, and many of the people joining in are students or parents of students in high school, and as we know for the last year, and unfortunately it looks like even more than a year now, that kids will not be in school in the regular fashion, at least in South Asia. The uncertainty about examination schedules, which again, not many kids are complaining about.
Still stressful though, yeah, I understand.
Something which is unnerving because you don't know whether you need to sort of be prepared for them or not. And there's the test prep and exam solutions and all of that. And there's inability to do what you really love extracurricular-wise, hang out with friends. What were your lows in college and how did you deal with that? And even like subsequently, what do you think of uncertainty and what is your toolkit?
Yeah, I mean, my heart goes out to anybody who's in school or college right now because it's not the same experience doing it online. But my batch of 2020, we did our last semester online. We graduated online, which wasn't fun, but it's tough. I think, however, life has a way of showing you lessons with these curveballs. And I can think back to a moment in high school, actually, for me, was before my prelims, my pre-boards. I temporarily lost vision in my left eye, and I had a brain virus that affected my myelin sheaths. Any bio students here, you'll know what that is, but if you're not, essentially imagine a wire, right? You have insulation on the outside and you have the electrical portion on the inside. So similarly, our neurons, our brain cells have something called a myelin sheath. So long story short, that had been eroded because of the virus, and therefore my vision was affected. And I was in the hospital for about a month. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. And I think what happened for me then was when I came back from the hospital, I felt like I couldn't remember anything. And a lot of my identity for that had been predicated on being a good student, right? I was good at school and I enjoyed studying, and then it's like, well, I can't remember anything, so what do I do? I was obsessively trying to do math to see if I could jog memory. And I think that moment for me taught me a lot about how, yes, marks matter, yes, school matters, but it's not what defines your life. It's about how you choose to go through those experiences. So no matter where you end up for college, it's what you do there that matters. No matter what you do in school, it's how you do it. If you're enjoying yourself and kind of where you take that forward is what matters, right? And I think actually it almost helped me have a different perspective toward my studies because I was so stressed out, and it gave me that focus that I needed. And we life will throw these types of situations at us all the time. This past year, after graduating, I was actually supposed to be on tour in the US, in the UK, in India. Everything got canceled. And for me, it was a very interesting time. I definitely had ups and downs with my own mental health. And I know for a lot of students, it's been really tough managing exam pressure and school pressure and family pressure and everything. So kudos to all of you for staying strong through all of it. I would just say, give your best, because there's only certain things that are in your control. You getting into a college is not in your control, but what is in your control is how hard you work for it, right? What is in your control is how the effort you put in toward studying for something or an extracurricular. What is not in your control really is grade. So it's more, I think, if you know that the efforts you've put in are good and solid and pure, I think that truly makes a difference. And I found that often I do better when I operate from that mindset.
That's so well said. I think typically students look at peers and even get inspiration from people like you who have not only charted a path of getting into a highly selective school, but also do something meaningful and give back to young people. And so that's just a fantastic sort of way to look at your message. This fair is actually designed for students to build that mindset, because there are editors and organizations that help you figure things out. Again, don't look at everything as, oh, how do I get into college? But meet people. You never know where your mentors are. They're probably at one of the tables at the fair. So there's an organization, like I said, which puts artificial intelligence education. There's a test prep company. There's organizations which support student initiatives in, say, community service. There are several student-led clubs that are also presenting and are available to host events with other students from different cities. To give an example, there's a math club which promotes student work and even organizes the Julia Robinson Math Festival. There's a Humanities and Socials Club which helps students figure out how to think of combining and finding those interconnections between art and humanities and social sciences by doing projects and group projects. So go out and explore. I think when I say go out, click around.
Click around. Don't leave the air meet.
Absolutely.
Do you mind? I see a couple of questions coming in about managing things in school, right? Extracurriculars and studies. My 2 cents on that is a lot of people think extracurriculars is something that's extra to everything that you're doing. But the word extracurricular literally means extra to your curriculum. So anything that you do outside of your scholastic or your school, studies is considered an extracurricular. And you don't need to do something very specific, right? If your school offers certain things and you're a part of them, that's great. But you doing things outside of school is just as awesome. You doing things that are meaningful, in your own building, in your own society, anything that you do outside that you are passionate about is an extracurricular. So I don't think you have to think about it in terms of what is this extra thing that I do, but rather, what do I currently do and enjoy, and how can I build upon that? How can I take whatever I already do to the next level? You might, for example, for fun, play video games, right? How do you take that to the next level if you're interested in it? And what is it about video games that you like? Do you like the design aspect? Do you like just the playing, like the social aspect? Do you want to create something? So it's, using those as starting points, what you're already doing, and then taking it forward.
Yeah, we can be around for a few more questions. Do you see any, Avanti?
I'm seeing people are asking about creating fields. How do you increase your extracurriculars in such a situation in the pandemic? Makes sense. Similar question. It's harder to do stuff that's in person, of course. For example, it's hard to play a sport, right, in the same way as you might. But I think there's so many opportunities online. Even if you, let's say, build an initiative or do something on social media, those are all ways to connect and build. I would say definitely go out a lot of the opportunities at the fair itself. There's people here talking about everything from artificial intelligence to research. What colleges care about is, what are you passionate about? How have you taken it to the next level? And how are you showing initiative? It's not just something that is fed to you. So your school offers it, so that's the only reason you're doing it. But how are you going above and beyond? So, are you working on something outside? Are you creating something? Are you passionate about something and reading about it a lot, writing about it? Whatever that is, there is a lot of opportunity. It just may be harder to, of course, do stuff in person, but I've seen people start amazing initiatives during this time. And if you feel like giving back to society, think about the needs in your area, right? Needs in your community, whether physically or virtually, and that's kind of a way you can think about it.
Yes, we're almost running out of time. I see a few more questions, but yeah, those are, I think, could be answered one-on-one at the tables.
100%.
Yeah, I guess.
We can. People should definitely go to the tables. Also, we have a Discord server if y'all want to check it out, where we answer questions. So you can check that out. And of course, EdBrand has amazing clubs and opportunities. So you all probably already know that if you're here. But thank you for having me, Arjun. I hope this was useful to people listening in. And
it's great to have you, Avanti, and thanks for sharing a very honest and enlightening story. So look forward to seeing you more often. We do a series on YouTube called Dissecting a Successful Dash College App. We probably do one for Berklee. And that's typically an unusual sort of application going out from students in India.
100%.
So that will happen soon. And feel free to hang around. I think we have tables, friends here who are there from college side, and we have friends on the organization side here too. So all the best, and look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much, and all the best to everyone tuning in, and enjoy the fair.